Kia ora guys, welcome back to the Black Jersey. It's time for part 2 of the top 100 rugby players in the world. We're going from 50 to number 1 for this part of the series. It's going to be very enjoyable to see your comments for this video, so just to remind you to pop them down below and subscribe to me if you like my content. A big thank you to my patrons as well. Thank you so much for your support as of late, guys. Just to remind you, my Patreon tiers will be changing for February, so just keep your eye on that, okay? Just to remind everyone of the criteria for this video as well, I'm simply selecting players who played test level rugby in 2022, as I think it's the only fair, clean way to make the selections, as so many different club scenes are so different from one another, so I think this is the most fair way I can do this. To start off with number 50, I have Makazole Mapimpi of South Africa, a highly intelligent, highly coachable player. I've been so confused because he's so far into his 30s and he's still playing very well for a winger. He's just one of those guys that's evergreen with his kicking game, offloading game, and of course his pace. You all know he's very fast. He scores a lot of tries, and last time I checked, correct me if I'm wrong, he had scored a try against every single test opponent he's faced. Very, very good. Number 49, I've got Matthieu Jalibert, who's the second choice first five for France. He would probably walk into the starting lineup of most nations outside his own. He's that good. He's just amazing when it comes to reading the game. He's so intelligent and has phenomenal game management as well as phenomenal kicking. The dude would be one of the greats of the game if it weren't for the French first choice player who's a bit further up the list. Number 48 is Bongi Mbonambi of South Africa, who's a very strong freight train like hooker who throws so well in the line out and plays so physically. He's excellent at intimidating his opposition and making them go to grind down so that another player can come replace him off the bench and destroy them even harder. Number 47, I have Louis Rees-Zammit of Wales, very much an up-and-coming star despite the struggles of his nation as of late. I think Warren Gatland will be able to get I think Warren Gatland's going to get far more out of him than Wayne Pivac did. Look up for Rees-Zammit to be one of the World Cup's top try scorers. 46, Julien Marchand. Very good, this guy. He's been absolutely excellent for France. He doesn't get a ridiculous amount of stuff done on the field, but everything that he does do is perfect. Basically, no faults in his game. I just want him to get a bit more active, if you know what I mean. Number 45, Cheslin Kolbe. He has been injured a fair bit, but I can't make a top 100 list without this dude in the top 50. I just think it would be a bit unfair to get him any higher as he has been injured. He's a wild stepper who can kick the goals and defend hard. I don't think I need to say much more about this guy. Number 44, I have Dan Sheehan of Ireland. He's only kind of come onto the test scene recently, but he's been doing an excellent job covering for Ronan Kelleher, and I'm very intrigued to see who actually is the first choice. I know Rob Herring's going to be third choice, but goodness me, it's going to be hard to pick between these two. Like, they're both just freaks. Sheehan, I think, is slightly better though, as he offers a bit more around the field. Number 43, I have Gabin Villiere, a winger who wins turnovers. I had him in my Six Nations team of the tournament for very good reasons. He's got a lot of class. He's a former 7-star who can step you like crazy, and for a little guy, he's got the power, alright. Number 42, I have Stacey Fluhler of the Black Ferns. Does everything pretty much perfectly, just knows what's going on around her, and has got a very high rugby IQ. The smiling assassin indeed. I've got to have her high up on this list. 41, I have Owen Farrell, who has been injured a fair bit as of late. I believe he was the world's best 10 for 5 straight years, while also being the world's best 12 for 4 of them. He is simply world class when it comes to reading the game. A lot of people cry about his tackle technique. I have no problems with it. He just hits hard, and when you're a physical defender, things can go wrong sometimes. It's just he's had such a long career, so you can pick so many moments where it has gone wrong. It's no different than how people used to talk about Jerome Kaino of the All Blacks. Farrell is hated for the same reason as Richie McCaw. He is England's greatest ever player. I just don't have him up much higher because he has been injured lately. 40, Stuart Hogg of Scotland. The dude played every single minute of every single test in Scotland's Six Nations, and even though his captaincy was a bit of a mixed bag, he remains a bright shining light and an icon of their game. Number 39 is Amy Cokayne of England, who got a hat-trick in the World Cup final. She is the mistress of the set piece, man. Honestly, she's just so good at throwing in the line out. Her throwing was pretty much the core of how England made it to that final. She grew up in New Zealand after being born in England, came back to rep her country, and she's just done phenomenally. Number 38, Alana Bremner, the most talented player I've ever had on my channel. Her sister Chelsea was also on the list previously. Alana's a workhorse, and I was pretty triggered to see she wasn't nominated for Women's Player of the Year. She's pretty much the ideal six. She covers the line out, she wins turnovers, she's brilliant as a single player pod, she defends so hard. I mean, there's just no faults in her game, if I'm being honest. Number 37, you could probably apply the same logic to Lood de Jager of South Africa. 6'9", he's just a giant. Perfect line-out jumper who gets busy around the field as well. Makes the most tackles on his team in most of the games he plays. Honestly, he's just cleaned his act up so much compared to when he was a young giraffe giving away lots of penalties. He's now just become a star of the game. It's just such a shame he gets overshadowed by someone else from South Africa who's a bit higher up on my list. Duhan van der Merwe, who I selected for my 2021 World 15, is in at number 36. He is so good at beating defenders one-on-one. He scores lots of tries, of course, and now that he's back in Edinburgh, I'm sure he's going to be making the news just as much as he did at the peak of his career in 2021. 35, I have Jordie Barrett. He played a bit of time in the midfield at the end of 2022 so that they could get cover in for if David Havili was injured. Barrett, though, is still amazing at fullback. He's a phenomenal goal kicker. He has a very, very strong running game, and his pace, he's deceptively quick, all right. I just didn't want to get him up much higher because Fozzie was shifting him around between a few jerseys. Number 34, I have Sophie de Goede, the captain of Canada. She really proved herself in a very tough tournament for Canada in the Pacific Four, while she did admirably in the World Cup as they came 4th place as well. Number 33, Damian Penaud. The dude is a winger who used to play at centre for his club Clermont, but he reads the game rather like he's a 10. He evades tackles the most of any winger in the game. He's getting up there on the list of France's highest ever try scorers, and I'd say he's going to end up having a more successful career than his father ever did, and that he's going to be one of the World Cup wingers. Portia Woodman at 32. It's insane. You just can't stop her, right? She just beats defenders by clean breaks, power, pace. She just has it all. She's the complete package at wing, eh? I don't think I have to say much more, honestly. She's just a legend of the game. 31, Mack Hansen. Reminds me a bit of Woodman without the power. He's so elusive on attack. He's got great skill under the high ball as well, and I can imagine him transitioning into a fullback for the Irish in later years. Though he is Australian, he's phenomenally good, and I'm actually feeling pretty gutted for Aussie that they've lost this guy to the Irish as his mother was born in Ireland. 30 is Emily Scarrett of England. Very strong centre who can also cover 10, though it's good to have her in the 13 channel as she is pretty tall and strong. She's their goal kicker and does that very well. She's a defensive rock, and her passing is probably comparable to Owen Farrell's. Number 29, Andrew Porter. His transition from tight head prop to loose head prop is complete. He did have to swap from one side of the scrum to the other in order to become a regular starter for his country, but he's doing an absolutely amazing job at loose head prop. Had he not been injured a few times this year, I'd have probably got him a wee bit higher up the list. I did select him in jersey 17 for my World 15, and the 12 for my World 15 is Damian de Allende, and at number 28. South Africans love him for very good reasons. As he's in a backline full of kickers, they kind of need this guy here as well to straighten things out a little bit. De Allende is very, very powerful, and his offloading and passing are just world class. Number 27, I've got Courtney Lawes, the England captain. He did miss the end of year test, so I haven't got him in my World 15 for this time, but he's done phenomenal stuff as the England captain, and I'm really gutted that Eddie Jones is gone, because him and Courtney Lawes were just a great mix as captain and coach together. Lawes is the ideal forward. He wins turnovers. He scrums hard, he jumps in the line out really well at 6'7", and he just gives the England pack that balance as they do pick Billy Vunipola at number 8. In at number 26, I selected Uini Atonio as my reserve tight head prop for my World 15. The dude is literally bigger than a silverback gorilla. He's 6'5" and 152 kgs. I'm not the smallest guy myself, but I think that if I saw this dude, I would run the heck away. He is peerless in the scrum. It's just a shame that France have this policy of not picking first choice players for mid-year tests. Number 25 is Ruahei Demant. She's the highest ranking woman I have on this list. She was the World Rugby Player of the Year and New Zealand Rugby's Player of the Year. Her offloading game is peerless, her game management is peerless, and simply put, nobody else in the women's game even comes close to her. There's literally only one fault with her game, and that's goal kicking. Aside from that, she is perfect. Defensively on song, running game on song, and I think that's just some of the perks that have come from her playing as a midfielder early in her career, rather. Number 24, I've got Tadhg Beirne of Ireland. He's got to go up there. He made as many passes as he did tackles, and he was in my World 15 as the reserve lock for very good reasons. He's so entertaining to watch, man, honestly. I've got number 23 to be Jamison Gibson-Park. I know a halfback in 23 sounds weird, but remember, this is a top 100 player list, rather. Gibson-Park is definitely the world's second best halfback. He does everything perfectly. Excellent game management, great kicking, great running, great defense. My goodness, the dude was robbed of an All Blacks cap. Just saying. Number 22, Gael Fickou of France. A very high pass to carry ratio. He's an absolute legend in the French game. He's the highest capped player in their current team, and as he's a centre who's got a bit of pace, sometimes they do select him on the wing so they can get that edge of the field used like the centre to confuse the opponent's defence. Number 21, Rieko Ioane. He didn't get as many chances as I'd have liked him to, but every time he got one, he was perfect. And it's an outstandingly high tackle percentage for 2022. His passing game's come a long way under the tutelage of Joe Schmidt. And my goodness, he still has pace to burn, despite a lot of muscle being gained since he moved from wing to centre. The dude is honestly becoming unstoppable at test level, and I wouldn't be surprised if I had him a bit higher for 2023 this year. 20, Juan Martín Gonzalez, a young up-and-comer who really just came to life in the Rugby Championship with 4 tries. His running game is so good. He's very, very powerful, a bit more of a traditional 6. Though Argentina are no longer playing with a specialist open side by selecting him, it is well worth the risk, man, honestly. There is nothing wrong with his game at all, and as he is the highest ranked player born in the 2000s on this list, I'm honestly terrified as to how unbelievably good this man is going to get. Number 19, Irish fans, you're going to hate me for this, but Johnny Sexton, his game management is just superb, And I've compared it in the past rather to Ireland having like an on-field coach. Sexton can still run the ball and defend things like that. He's just no longer the ball-in-hand talent he once was, so I can't have him up much higher. But what he does for the team is massive, and you can really feel the absence of Sexton when he isn't on the pitch. He's about to become Ireland's oldest ever player, and he's also about to become their highest ever point scorer. Going out with a World Cup that goes past the quarterfinals would probably be his dream exit for his career. Josh van der Flier, number 18, World Rugby Player of the Year. He's not the best player in the world, but you know what he indeed is? He's one of the very best in a pack of absolute monsters. His running game's a little bit more active than it used to be, could probably be a bit better, but the amount of turnovers he wins, goodness me, the amount of tackles he makes, goodness me, and the heart he gives to the game, goodness me. He's coming up very, very close to 50 test caps, and it would be very nice if he could get that with Six Nations win. Michele Lamaru, the Italian captain, I have him at number 17. I've got him a little higher than Van der Flier as he's made a bit more impact on the performance of his side rather. At just 24 years old, he has taken over as captain and he doesn't look out of place at all. He communicates brilliantly to referees. He attacks well even though he doesn't do it ridiculously often. He can score tries and most importantly, he can win turnovers, man. Righto, number 16, Samisoni Taukei'ahoo, a breakout star for the All Blacks in 2022. He was the team's top try scorer with 7, which is mad for a hooker. Ever since he fixed some poor line-out throwing for the Chiefs from 2020, he has become an absolute machine. He's since made the All Blacks because of it, and he's going to get even better at 25 years old. He's a wrecking ball with ball in hand, and a physical as defender. Number 15, I've got Malcolm Marx, who was my player of the tournament for the Rugby Championship. Celebrated his 50th test with 5 turnovers, getting 12 for the year. Runs a lot with the ball in hand and played every single test for South Africa this season. 14, Darcy Graham with 6 tries. He is definitely the best player in Scotland right now. He can do it all in attack. He'll step you, he'll bowl you over, he'll make a clean break, and he can win turnovers as well. He even got the game winner against England in the Six Nations. Over to Sam Whitelock at number 13. Despite being 34 years old, he is very much in the peak of his career. He's really wound the clock back to 2017 when he played his best rugby, and he is absolutely amazing. He's about to become the All Blacks' most capped player of all time. I can't think of anyone else who would deserve to break Richie McCaw's record. Richie Mo'unga, speak of the devil. The Crusaders just cannot go without a Richie in the 21st century. Mo'unga is the complete number 10. He essentially embodies what a first 5 needs to be today, though a few others did it a little bit better than he did this year, because the same compliment applies to 2 players that ranked a bit higher than him. I do have to mention Ellis Genge at 11 though, because Ellis Genge, the baby rhino with the dart up his backside, as the commentator once said, has become the finished product, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him as the next England captain whatsoever. The world's second to best scrummager, the guy with the best ruck speed in the world, and my man, he is a complete prop. Now to those first 5s who I think did a little bit better than Mo'unga with game management. It's Romain Ntamack and Marcus Smith, because simply put, they were given a bit more opportunities by the coach. I have Ntamack at 10 and Marcus Smith at 9. Smith's a little bit higher than Ntamack, as he does have a bit more flair in his game, while he tackles a little bit harder as well. Both of them are so young with so much promise, and Marcus Smith with the goal kicking as well. He got over 100 points for England and was their top try scorer for the year with 5. It's scary to think how good these two are going to get, man. Over to number 8, I have Emiliano Boffellit, the top point scorer of Test rugby, and the only player aside from Smith to get more than 100 points in a season. Every single slow win that Argentina got, every single close one they got rather, was decided by either a try against Scotland or Emiliano Boffellit's boot. I don't have to say much more. He's highly underrated and he deserved to be nominated for World Player of the Year. Number 7, Gregory Alldritt. An Irish father, a French mother, he chose to rep the French and is paying off big time. He's an amazing jackler over the ball. He runs an insane amount of meters and his offload game is perfect. I just wish he was eligible for the All Blacks because I want him so bad. Imagine him and Ardie Savea teaming up in the loose forwards. Awesome. In at number 6, I've got Tadhg Furlong. The best prop in the world because simply put, he is the best scrummager. I don't have to say much more. Everyone knows who this guy is. He is a beast. In at 5, Freddie Stewart for England. A lot of people are having a bit of a cry about his tackle percentage, but the context of his tackling has to be taken into account. He uses his own failures to enable the team to stop tries being scored. He's always willing to sacrifice his own tackle percentage for the good of the team, and he does that phenomenally well. He scores a lot of tries for England. He played every single minute of every single England's test in 2022. He has never dropped a high ball that I've ever seen. He is just insane when it comes to his pure power when he's running the ball. He's very, very quick as well. He is the complete fullback. He is the modern Israel Folau and the English version of Jordie Barrett. I am scared to think how good he is going to get. Number 4 is Lukhanyo. He probably should have deserved the nomination for World Player of the Year. I just didn't quite feel comfortable with putting him in World 15 as he didn't meet the criteria for tests played. I got tempted to bend the rules for because his game reading is phenomenal, his defense is ridiculous, his pace is so quick, and his passing game, I could seriously just watch it for days on end, man. Lukhanyo in at number 4, and you know what, if he wasn't injured, maybe I could give him number 1. Now, the best tight 5 forward on the planet, Eben Etzebeth. I don't have to say much more. Let's get to the top 2. In at number 2, I have Antoine Dupont. Runs brilliantly when it comes to support lines from 9. He makes a lot of passes. He's an inspirational captain. He has a high tackle accuracy. He can kick the goals. He can do the box kicks. He can do the grubbers. He can do the chips. And of course, he scores a fair few tries. He is the embodiment of a Fabien Galtier type halfback. And he's essentially just the second coming of his coach. That is why he is trusted with the captaincy. Number 1, you all knew it was coming. It is Ardie Savea. The All Blacks would be lost without him. Some people, they are going to have a bit of a cry about my bias compared to Van der Fleer, but simply put, this guy won the most turnovers in World Rugby for 2022. He got 4 Player of the Match awards. He got 5 tries. He ran over 400 metres, and he played nearly every minute of the tests he was given. He is a legend of the game. Give him one more season of top-level rugby, and he will be the greatest number 8 that the game has ever seen. The video has probably been really long, so I'm going to leave it here. Thank you for tuning in to my top 100 rugby players in the world, and I will catch you next time. Cheers, guys.